I'm pleased once again to be speaking to music historian and author Peter Chexfield. Good afternoon, Peter.
Good afternoon, Chris.
Now, Peter, you've written some fantastic books about pop music and your knowledge is incredible. How do you actually go about writing a book that is about pop music?
Part memory, part research, part on the internet, part old magazine cuttings, a bit of everything, but mostly inspiration and hard work.
And your latest book is one I've really enjoyed because I worked with this duo in the 90s and they were great chaps. They were, of course, Chas Hodges and Dave Peacock, better known to most people as Chas and Dave. And the book is called Wallop. Why Wallop?
Just one of their songs. It was just a punchy title, really. Yeah, I mean, it just sums up their music in a way, or some of their music. They did a lot more subtle stuff, but yeah.
So what attracted you to write a book about Chas and Dave?
Well, I was born in '63, so by the time they first started having their big hits, around about '79 was when I was leaving school and started having disposable income. And I was always more obsessed with music from the '60s and '50s to a certain extent, but they was one of the few contemporary acts that I really liked, and bought all their albums throughout the '80s into the '90s, well, throughout their career, really.
And how did Chas and Dave meet?
It was the year I was born, actually, 1963. Chas at the time was already quite a successful pop star in a band called the Outlaws, who backed the late great Mike Berry, who passed away recently. He'd missed the last bus home, and he didn't have a car yet, and he was hitchhiking the 4 or 5 miles to get home, and an old school friend called Brian Juniper was passing by, picked him up, and also in the car with him was Dave Peacock, who was in a band with Brian at the time. And they just hit it off straight away. They had similar taste in music, similar sense of humour, and kept in touch. And it wasn't until around about 1970 they started recording together, but they become instant friends.
And when did they get their first big break?
Their first really big break was in 1979, Gertcha. It's a song they'd recorded previously, about 4 years earlier, under the title of Wurcha, but it was a much slower, almost funky arrangement. But then someone through an advertising agency was interested in them and hired them for a Courage Best advert, and that's when everyone first started really hearing them, and the song was Gertcha, yeah.
And the book has memories from 3 very famous people, Jim Davison, Sally James and Richard Digance. They knew Chas and Dave, but they also worked with them as well. How did you get hold of these memories?
Yeah, I just wrote to them. Jim Davison in particular impressed me. He's got a bit of a reputation, but I wrote to him one evening, probably about 9 or 10 o'clock at night. And I woke up in the morning, logged on about 8 o'clock, and there was already a message, and he was saying, all these memories, and the impressive thing, which is quite a nice thing, both Jim Davison and Richard Digance end their messages by saying, "I love them." And I got to say, as you say, I've written quite a few books, but sometimes you speak to other musicians and people's interviewed them like yourself, and some say, they're not necessarily nice people, but I honestly couldn't find anyone to say a bad word about Chas and Dave. They really were what you see, what you get.
And I think one thing that a lot of people don't realise, that they were actually excellent musicians, and this is also in the book.
Yeah, I mean, Chas Hodges in particular, he was on a lot of the Joe Meek sessions for people like Hines and Johnny Layton, people like that. And then he was in Cliff Bennett and the Rebel Rousers and played on Got to Get You Into My Life, their big hit. But then, by 1969 and throughout the first half of the 70s, they did a lot of sessions for Teresa Brewer and Labby Sifry and all that. And one of the songs, a song by Labby Sifry, was later sampled by Eminem, not my sort of music, but for one of his big hits. Yeah, apparently one of the highest selling rap records of all time, and Chas and Dave play on it.
And another person actually that I interviewed a little while ago was Albert Lee. And Albert Lee was great friends with Chas. They actually grew up in the same streets. and he said that he was a fantastic musician, and that comes from Albert Lee, who is a great guitarist.
Oh yeah, yeah. They were very close, yeah. And well, they was actually in a band together before Chas and Dave really got together, called Heads, Hands and Feet. That was with Chas Hodges and Albert Lee. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, fantastic musician.
And most of us know the big hits like Rabbit Rabbit, Cyborg Song, and of course Margate. But I didn't know this, and probably a lot of other people didn't know, that Chas actually made an album which was unreleased recordings from 2007 to 2017. Can you tell us about that album?
Well, let me just touch. Chas died actually on 22nd of September 2018, which coincidentally is 7 years ago. When we're taping this interview. But about 2 years later, his son Nick, who was later Chas and Dave's drummer, actually, excellent musician in his own right, he was going through his dad's old recordings and all that, and put together this album. It's great, and some of them are very touching. Some are more funny. And he closes it actually with a version of the Beatles song, just with an acoustic guitar and a little bit of piano. I'm So Tired, the song from the White Album, and it's beautiful and it's very, very touching. Yeah, it's lovely.
Peter, on the last page of your book, there's a photo of you and Chas. Where did you meet him?
Funny enough, I saw Chas and Dave in concert at least a dozen times over the years, from the 80s right up until a couple of years before the end, really. But I only really bumped into them at other people's concerts. And the one in the book, and it's on the back of the book, that was backstage at the NEC Birmingham in 1992. We was both there to see Jerry Lee Lewis and Little Richard. But I also... much later, about 2009, 2010, I was a doorman at the Winter Gardens at the time, and Chas, just on his own, did a concert, and we had a long chat there, and we both loved Jerry Lee Lewis. I don't know if it was because of her talking to me, but the first set, apart from the closing song, which was Gertrude, it was nothing but Jerry Lee Lewis songs. And you see how Chas was in heaven, and so was I. I don't know what all the audience thought of it, but it was fantastic. It really was.
And he was a very interesting man. As I say, I worked with him, and it was actually at the Winter Gardens before he started his show, and I was doing the comparing. We sat for an hour in his dressing room because Dave had gone over to the pub, and at that time, Chas wasn't drinking, and we talked about football, we talked about music and everything, because he was a big Tottenham Hotspur supporter as well.
Yeah, that's right. They had several hits with Tottenham Hotspur. But yeah, he was a lovely guy. I mean, although I'd met him before, we weren't really friends. He didn't remember me. But when I went down, this was before the show at the Winter Gardens. I was just unlocking, and he was already there, just getting ready to do a sound check. And he said, "Hello, mate. I'm Chas. Any chance of a cuppa?" Yes, I ordered him, and then we just got talking for about an hour, and he said, "I better get on, do this bloody sound check." Yeah. Lovely guy, lovely.
And of course, Dave Peacock, is he still making music?
Yes, there was a concert at Hyde Park a couple of weeks ago with Chas's daughter, Kate Garner. And Dave Peacock come along and did a few songs with her. And I've got to say, that they were genuine friends. I mean, Dave never had any kids of his own, but Chas's 3 kids, long grown up now with kids of their own. Dave was the godparent for all of them, and they've all stayed in touch. And even since Chas died, they're all very friendly with each other, which is lovely.
It is, yes, because obviously, they were working together, but they were also very, very good mates, as you say. Peter, this is a fantastic book. It is a must for any Chas and Dave fan. How can you get hold of the book?
Amazon, the biggest bookshop in the world, but if you don't use Amazon or you can't find it, just Google my name, Peter Checksfield. I've got a website, and drop me a line, and I'm sure I can work something out and help you.
And the book is called Chas and Dave Wallop. Well, Peter, thank you for the excellent book. And is there another one in the pipeline?
I've probably got about half a dozen unfinished books. So some I've done about a quarter, some I've done about 3/4, but for various reasons I haven't finished them. I'm not even going to say, because chances are I'll just drop them and do some inspiration to come along. But I'm having a little break for a while. But yeah, I'm sure within a few months I'll have another one.
Well, you certainly deserve it. Thank you very much for speaking to us today.
Thank you, Chris.